Hey everybody, grace, peace, and blessings. Welcome to another Purposeful Health Session. I am honored to be joined here today with William Wonders III. And we're going to be discussing Black men's health. And just to give you a bit of a background about our guest today, William Wonders III is a New York-born filmmaker, currently in the industry as an assistant editor in New York. William graduated from New York Film Academy and started teaching at-risk youth, film and video in Brooklyn high schools. Though it was hard to break into the industry, William was able to. He started his own production company, Quiverful Productions, LLC. Am I pronouncing it correctly?
Yes.
Okay, great. William's hope is to make films that touch the heart and as well as make an impact in the Black community. So welcome, William. Thank you for your time. I am anxious and excited about our topic today. We're going to be discussing Black men's health and the state of Black men and their health. And I know that you've been at this for at least a decade, and you have at least 6 films under your belt. And so you're not new to the game, but I wanted to talk to you because I really like what you're doing. And you're using your art as a way to provide solutions for the community and to get us to think and to talk, as we spoke about earlier. So what I would like to know from you, first and foremost, you can, tell us a little bit more about yourself. And I would like to know what got you started into making and producing films and documentaries. What was your inspiration?
Well, my mother was in charge of the drama guild at church, so I was always with her, and I knew everybody's lines, and I knew exactly what they, what they were going to say. So, like acting and and drama and all these things were always a part of my life, and so I always told myself that when I was younger, I'm going to be. I knew I was going to be 2 things, right? I was either going to be a actor or a preacher. Right. And so right. All right. And my friends, all my friends all my friends that aren't really saved, they'll be like, well, isn't that the same thing? I'm like, yeah, okay. All right, buddy. But and then I ended up becoming just my imagination began to grow as I got older with movies. I was a movie kid. So I was always watching every movie. When Blockbuster was out, I was in there looking at every movie I could get into, and I basically saw the whole Blockbuster. So it was always in my mind. Creating just became natural for me. And when I got to, funny thing is when I got to Nyack College, everybody's there for ministry, and but at that point in time, you think everybody, well, we're gonna make it big and be big preachers and stuff like that. In the back of my mind, there was this thing, right? This gift, that nobody really knew that I had. And I would have these bursts of creativity during my time at Nyack. And so it was always in my interest that I had all these ideas. And then God started telling me to start writing scripts and writing these ideas down. And then sometimes when I wouldn't do it all fully, I would lose the script. And then God would say, all right, now write the script again. Because, and I was like, okay. So, but it's interesting. You have people who are grow up in families and like, oh, you want to be a director or actor? Come on, get a real job. My family wasn't like that. They wanted to make sure I was working, but they also wanted me to follow my dreams. So I thought I was going to be working in the church. And, I am still in the church, but God still had more for me. So my last class in seminary, because I went to get my seminary degree at Alliance Theological Seminary. And it was the last preaching class. And we had to do a narrative sermon. And so you got people going up there going, hi, my name is Ruth. And then I'm sitting there like, I grew up in drama. You know what I mean?
Right.
I know that. What is that? I was like, what? And it was just like, oh, and it just came so easily. So I picked the music, and I came dressed as the centurion that stabbed Jesus in the side, because I did some research and I found out he was he was in charge of I don't want to say assassin of executions at that time. So he was there when Jesus got beat. He was there when he walked through. He was there at the cross. And so I was like, wow, that's a different. I want to do this. So I did that, and I acted it out. Something that was so natural for me. And then I did the whole thing. And then when it was finished, Martin Sanders and all of them, they're just looking at me. My teacher,
Mm.
and I'm like, uh-oh, did I stink it up? And it was like A+. And it was just like God was like the whole time at night. God was like, I got something more for you. Those dreams you hiding, I got them for you. And so when I got to after I graduated, I went to New York, and it was still there. So I started teaching in a school as a parent coordinator, dean, and kids would come and say, "Hey, I keep getting in trouble. Can you do something for me? Like I have nothing to do." So I decided to do what? Teach acting and directing to at-risk youth in the school. I made my own program. We won awards at different film festivals, at Tribeca Film Festival, and so it was just this thing. Like I was like, "This is what I want you to do," and I was like, "All right." So I went to New York Film Academy, and I've just been making films, making things for the church. They make me my production company, and just continuing on to do that and learning the industry and learning the business, so that I can bring like good quality films. You know, sorry, that was a
Wow.
lot.
Yeah, but you know what? It's all inspirational. I was just encouraged just listening to your story and your testimony, and just how God was able to use you, and how you discovered your gifts, and how you didn't allow, I guess, the naysayers and what is expected from society. Thank God you had a very supportive family, and that's a
Yeah.
huge plus. So I think that's your whole story is very inspiring to me, just following your dreams. And sometimes we may have an idea, especially those of us who have grown up in the church. Okay, everyone sometimes, especially if you're like a PK kid, everything is mapped out. Oh, you're going to preach, you're going to be in a pulpit, that's what your ministry is going to be. But sometimes God has other plans for us, and he'll use those other gifts, and there's other ways of expressing and of being inspirational, of encouraging, and being that light in the world. And I think that's what you're doing through your art. I call it art, through your art and through your film. So that's wonderful. So you have a new project that you're working on currently. It's called Othello Rising. Um, can you tell us what that film is about and the inspiration behind that?
It's Othello Rising is a conversation that needs to happen consistently in the lives of Black men. Um, I did a documentary on my grandmother called "Fixing Grandma." That's on that got picked up by Amazon Prime. And in the course of taking my grandmother to her appointments, and I did it to kind of spend time with my grandmother and things like that. She started tripping and falling, and I took her to
Mm,
the doctor, and the doctor's prognosis was, "Well, how old is she?" And I was like, "She's 84." But what does that have to do with anything? Because my grandmother looks like she's 65. And the doctor said, "Well, this is all, this is what happens when she gets older." And
mm,
I'm like, "Excuse me?" He's like, I took him to another doctor. Doctor said the same thing. So long story short, I took her to a knee doctor. Knee doctor said, "I know a doctor that that might be able to help her." And when I took her to this doctor, Dr. Cohen, he looked at her x-rays and said, "Yeah, we can fix her." Just like that,
mm,
right? And I thought about how many, and I know it's gonna make a documentary, but how many Black people, Black families, people in the neighborhood are gonna get past those three doctors to find someone that can finally fix them. Once you get doctors or people who appear to be in power medically tell you that there's nothing else you can do to you except, you doing some physical therapy, and I was like, this is a problem. So in the midst of me doing that documentary, I was interviewing my uncle, and I was interviewing him about health and things like that because he was at 9/11. He said something to me. He said, "I never remember my father taking me to the doctor."
Mm,
And when he said it,
wow.
I was like, me too. Like it was my story too. And I was like, and then it hit me. It's like, okay, this is the next thing, you know. And as I began to do research on black men and support for black men, it was very scarce. Like if you Google um, just even in black support of black men, like if you Google filmmaking grants for black men, nothing comes up.
Non-existent.
Right. But if
Yeah.
you do filmmaking for women of color or black women, things like that, all these resources come up. And I was like, wow, now I'm happy my sisters are getting support, you know what I mean? I'm happy for that. But I was like, but what's happening with our men? And then as I'm doing it, it's like I'm seeing the pressure that we have as black men, things
Mm,
like that. Then I started digging deeper, and the documentary is that exploration of why are we leading in deaths in America, you know, and
wow,
right
that's powerful.
and right behind this is black women.
Oh yeah, yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah.
That and
That's
that's a
another
whole
conversation
nother
that needs to be
that's
had.
a whole nother thing
Yeah,
right there.
yeah.
You know, and dealing with my grandmother, I learned some things with because my grandmother had 11 children. So she's been
Wow.
to the doctors a lot, and there's stories there that I'm leaving for the podcast that I have a fixing grandma podcast that I'll be putting that on. But I wanted to localize like what's going on with black men. Why are we not healthy? And it's caused me to look at my own self, you know, physically and mentally and spiritually. You know, for years we've seen pastors work themselves to death, you know,
Hmm.
and people work themselves to death under the skies of, you know, the guys of like, oh, you know, I've got to do the Lord's work, you know, about, yeah, but the Lord also made you responsible for your body.
Yep.
And the Lord's not going to give you something just for you to kill it and then say, oh, well, you know, I'm doing the Lord's work. No, the Lord wants you to be healthy, you know, and a lot of, you know, pastors, you know, and a lot of preachers and just even black men in general, there's this disconnect between our health mentally and physically because there's so much pressure. So then I started looking at stuff historically. And so now there's all these issues that we're having as black men now. They stem not only from historical, but also systematically what has been done on purpose to black men and the black family. That's what the Othello Rising is. That's the exploration of that. We're on a journey together, and it's also the journey of my health and my 6 to 8 month period of me getting in health because getting in shape because it's I can speak all, but I need to be an example as well.
Yeah, that's pretty powerful. You know, practicing what you what you preach.
Right.
But I'm really looking forward to this project. And it's just, you know, there are just some things that you highlighted that you said that I think about when it comes to the state of black men and particularly black men's health. You know, health is everything, you know, and I do believe that, you know, men are foundational. You know, if black men aren't healthy, the community is not going to be healthy. And that's part of what we're seeing now. And it's just amazing that you said, you know, you can't recall your father taking you to the doctor and, you know, this is like this history. So why do you think that is? Like just the disconnect there between, you know, wellness and, you know, just being conscious. Okay, I got to take care of this body. I got to take care of this temple with black men.
Well, the thing a lot of it is a lot of it has been stems from slavery. And people say, "Oh, slavery's dead," and but yeah, but there's also all different types of slavery. But there's things that have been passed down through slavery and historically. And we'll put it this way, right? We have, you know, there's this big argument between black men and black women. about black men being there for their children and being a good father and all these things. And there is a the it comes down to the worth of black men. If a black man does not see his worth, he's not going to take care of his health. And I asked, and I'll share this with you. I asked the historian when I was interviewing. I said to her, I said, what was the worth of black men historically? And she says, well, and then she takes off her glasses. I was like, oh, it's about to be in business. She says, what's the issue, right? With fathers, the deadbeat father, all these things. And she said, historically, the worth of black men was to get women pregnant, and not necessarily their own wives, but to get women pregnant and to go work.
Hmm.
And then she says, now, what's the similarities of what's happening now? Black men is like, yo, I gotta work. And so our worth as black men, we've been trained by the years of passing down that my worth, I'm only worth something if I'm working.
Hmm.
And so now we work ourselves to death to prove a point. This means I'm a man if I'm working. No, part of being a man is being responsible, not working yourself to death. So when do black men, if you're carrying that idea, right? Or you're carrying that systematic that has been passed down. You're carrying this idea that if I don't work and if I don't provide consistently, if I don't provide, then I'm not really a man. So in order to do that, I got to do whatever I can do. Now, the reason why it's whatever I do, what I got to do is that Jim Crow, you have Jim Crow. Now they were setting us up not to have jobs and things like that. So we had to learn how to find a way to work and get things. And so that ended us up having to work these hard jobs, longer hours, just to make sure that our family was, was okay. And so that kind of idea has been passed down. Like, and even me, like for a long time, I would say, I would always use this phrase, right? Man that doesn't work doesn't eat.
Hmm.
Man that doesn't work doesn't eat, you know? And it's okay to be a provider. It's okay, but that's not all you're worth. And black men are starting and need to realize that when's the last time you took a vacation? When's the last time you took a break for your mental health? When's the last time you did something for you? That's why us black men have a strong reaction to when a wife or a girlfriend does something for us that speaks to our worth.
Wow, that's deep. That's
You
deep.
know,
Yeah.
you know what it is to hear your wife or girlfriend say to you, "Yo, you are killing it. You're amazing. You're a blessing to me." That's it. That's words of affirmation, man. Let me tell you something. Let me tell you something. And it's more than just about stroking somebody's ego. People say, "Oh, you just want to get your ego stroked." No, it's not about stroking his ego. It's about speaking to that man's worth. And a lot of the issues that we're having is because we don't know who we are.
Amen. Amen. And from a woman's point of view, I can see it as well, on my
Mm-hmm.
end. I was pondering, all of these questions about Black men and, the issues with health and, the other issues in our community as well. And it goes back to what you said, not just seeing your own worth as a man and as a human being. And, in a system of racism, white supremacy, a Black man is not a man. You're a boy. The system doesn't want you to be healthy. The system doesn't want you to be happy. It's not designed to let you be a man and flourish as one and build as one. So there's this, as you was talking about earlier, like this constant fight and struggle. And I see, so many Black men go through it, generationally. And, it's really tragic. But I think, through people like you and the efforts that you're doing now, you're helping to break that pattern and to get us to think, or in your case, for this film, to get Black men to think, I need to consider myself. I need to love myself. And I think it goes back to self-love. Like you said, if a man doesn't value himself, how is he going to be healthy? I was, looking at some of the stats, and I think for Black men, it's like, heart disease is number one cause of death. Number two is diabetes / prostate cancer. So cancer is like number two. And number four is homicide. That is a crisis in the Black community with Black men, homicide. And a staggering and very upsetting stat that I saw is back in 2017, the number one cause of death for Black men between the ages of 15 and 44 was homicide. So that goes back to, I don't value myself. So I can just, kill another brother, exterminate someone. He looks at me weird, or I want his sneakers, or what the chain around his neck, or I want what he got, his car, or whatever. I'm going to take it. It doesn't matter if I shoot him and kill him. If we got beef, instead of, settling it, reasonably, I'll shoot you because I'm mad, so it's like, also, I think about just just in general with men, not just Black men, not having, I guess, the space to be vulnerable and to let your emotions out in a healthy way. I think about how men have to suppress a lot, to be strong. And, I do believe that God designed men to carry a lot. Like I said, I believe men are foundational. Men can carry a lot, but everybody has their breaking point. And men are human beings, and there's only but so much that you can carry. But I don't think that society has allowed men in general, especially Black men, the luxury of expressing, emotion and pain, specifically pain, the pain that Black men go through in a healthy way. And it acts out, in a very maladaptive way. Like for instance, I was in the beauty parlor one time. I was getting my hair braided, and a Black man brings his son in, and he's going to give the little boy, he's about maybe 3 or 4, cornrows. And you ever had cornrows, they are painful, whether you're a child or an adult. And, I was getting my hair braided and I felt a little pain. So, he was a young boy, and I think that was his first time getting his hair braided. So, he sits in a chair, this heavy-handed, Black woman, she had the heavy hand, she starts cornrowing this child's head, and the child, he starts crying. And the father is like, "What you crying for, boy?" He's like, "Man up." I'm like, he's 4 years old. I'm like, let him cry. So, it starts at that at that age, at a certain point, yeah, you do have to toughen the kids up for the real world.
Right.
But at the same time, when it's appropriate to let a boy cry, or when a man should cry, he should cry. I remember my dad telling me, when my grandmother passed, that, he didn't cry. He didn't cry, and it nearly killed him. Not being able to process that pain nearly killed him. So it's like the emotional stuff. So if Black men aren't minding the emotional stuff, the physical stuff is definitely going to go by the wayside. So, you shared some of your thoughts on the state of Black men's health. I think your film is going to be one of the solutions, because hopefully, prayerfully, it'll be one of those films that'll get Black men talking, and to get this topic to the forefront in our community, because it's very important. So what do you think are some of the solutions to the problem of the crisis, because this is a crisis for Black men, of the health crisis that Black men are experiencing?
I think one of the things is churches having programs for Black men in the community. People don't realize, I know the church gets a bad name for certain things because of things we have lacked on and things like that. But the church needs to create forums, places where maybe somebody might not necessarily be a part of the same religion, but to come into just be able to talk and talk about them, talk about themselves, talk about what they're going through and things like that. I think um, there's a lot of angry black men out there, that don't know how to deal with stuff. So having not only that, those forums, but also services like where they might have a psychologist or things like that, because some things are spiritual and some things are physical, chemical imbalances and things like that. Like that's a big taboo in the black community, is mental health,
Hmm.
medicine. Or I don't want to be known as oh, I'm on meds, oh, I'm
Right.
on this. You know what I mean? I need
Very taboo.
professional help. Right. Very. And it's like it's interesting, right? In every hood, there's I guess they would say the one crazy guy that walks around the neighborhood, and everybody knows who it is.
Right.
And you know what I mean? Everybody knows who it is, but the police don't.
Exactly.
But and so there needs to be a different handling of black men, but also we need to speak up. Everybody in the neighborhood knows, but who's getting this person the proper help? Oh, that's just Will. He's been like that for years. He had a bag batch of marijuana, and now he's just like that. He don't mean no harm. When's he gonna get help? When does he take it too far and hurt somebody or hurt
Hmm.
himself? So having that, but also having just, I think, more forums in every city where black men can just come talk about it, and then at that talk be presented with services and places that they can go to talk about the health. Maybe having doctors show up, or maybe having a Saturday where you come get screened or come get tested, just, your blood work and things like that. All those things are needed, but and also forums where we speak to the worth of black men. It's very few and in between. You see they have one leader come up, things like that, that speaks to the worth of black men. But also we need black leaders, black men. All the reverends, all the pastors, all
Bingo.
the psychologists, all the
Bingo. Yeah.
businessmen. Like, black men teach black men. Like if people, I was in a I was in a group, a group chat. It's on an app called Clubhouse, and I was on there, and there was a place I went in there, and it was a space just for black women to talk. So I wanted to understand, and it was just very toxic, and talking about black men ain't this and blah blah blah. And I'm sitting there. I said, okay, I hear the hurt. I hear the hurt, but you're inviting people in to listen to this, and it was just like hurt, hurt, hurt. And my only question was like, where's the solution? You think
Yeah, that's the problem with our community. We will gripe and complain about a lot of stuff.
right?
That's why we're having this conversation, because we're talking about solutions. We can gripe about our problems in our community all day long, but where's the solution? So,
And
good
and,
point.
and that's what I'm asking for, because I'm like, and I know if I said that, it would just be like, well, if you ain't like these black men, then why you getting offended? Blah blah blah. I said, because I feel you. You know what I'm saying? Like I feel your emotions. You know what I mean? I feel what you're saying and what you're going through. And a regular black man, you screaming at him, he not gonna listen.
No,
Well, that's
absolutely
just
not.
men in general. That's just
Yeah.
men in general. So all that, oh, you need to be a black man, blah blah blah. Because the question was this, right? I mean, when I was growing up, I heard it. Oh, be a man, be a man. And this girl said that to me about something, right? Of course, it was selfishly she was saying it. Oh, be a man. And I said, what does that mean?
Mm.
See, because what people don't know is that black men, we won't say it, but we're constantly looking for images to look up to, images that we can say, oh, okay, All right. Yeah. Now we're not going to tell you, but we'll see the LeBrons, we'll see the, the Kevin Harts or whoever it is in business. We'll see the businessman say, "Oh, hey man, can you teach me some stuff?" Or, "Hey man," but we're always constant because our leaders, our black leaders, have been killed in front of our eyes. Our black leaders have been, their character has been destroyed. You know what I mean? It, whether it was their fault or the fault of somebody else. So those people that their character was destroyed in front of us, why didn't they get the help that they needed? So if they're not getting any help, what makes you think regular black men, do
Mm,
working jobs are going to get help? So it's I I'm constantly, and I didn't realize it. I was constantly looking for people to look up to build myself so I can be somebody else can look up to. Now that wasn't my goal. Hey, look at me, but that's never been my goal. But then it was like, well, I have to be this thing. I have to do this documentary. I got to be this person so that they can see my example, you know.
mm,
And it's hard. It's been hard, man. Let me tell you something. There's been times I wanted to quit, but it's been hard because a lot of times you do it on your own. You feel like you're alone. People won't support you until you do the work, and then they see the
right.
product. You know what I mean? It's like,
Yeah. Yeah. When they see you getting up and getting that award, and they're like, "Oh yeah, 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 we're behind you now," and I'm like,
oh hey, So and that's and us black men, we deal with that a lot, and so now a lot of it is mental. A lot of it is mental, and because even if somebody wants to help us, now how can we receive it?
mm,
I kind of have a black woman. Let me tell you something. Every time, if there's a black woman that compliments me on getting things done and doing this stuff, I squirm a little bit, receiving that. So
mm.
I'm learning now all the things I done did. Right, you think I have the way my worth is set up? I got everything. You know what I mean? I'm good, but even still, learning to
By the way,
be confident.
audience, Will has won 2 awards for fixing grandma. So just so you know,
Thank you.
we gotta big you up a little bit.
Oh God, thank you. Appreciate it. But it's teaching us to receive that. You know what I mean,
Mm,
and being able to have dialogue with our black sisters. You know what I mean, so that we're not hurting each other, and that's what a part of this is about. Us not hurting each other, us not killing each other, but learning how to heal each other, learning how to listen to each other, learning how to, you know, um, let God shine through us so we can help the next person.
amen. Amen. I just want to, for a little bit longer, just stay on the whole solutions thing
Mm-hmm.
and question. So you brought up the role of the church, possibly, being one of the leaders taking this on, because a lot of our movements and roads to progress have actually come through the church.
Mm.
So the Black church. So I don't know, what I have heard, and you can give your opinion from your perspective as a Black man. Um, from other Black men, what I've heard is that they don't trust the church or preachers, and I think that we have in the faith community, Christians, we have dropped the ball. So
Mm.
I don't think it's a space now where just getting a Black man off the street who's not particularly religious, where he would feel comfortable going there and being vulnerable and trusting the leadership of the church because of the things that are going on.
Mm.
So that's just my what I have heard from Black men is like, I'm not, he wants my money, or that dude looks slick, I ain't going so that's just what I heard from other. So what has been your experience and conversations with brothers on the end that
Well, I mean, I think there's there's been an attack on the church, and I feel like the church hasn't done enough to fight back on that. On my church, I know there's churches that I know a couple of churches that are seeding into black men. I know my church does, and there's a couple of other churches that I know, but it's not a prominent thing. And then culturally, if you look at it, and this is what gets me mad, right? Especially being in the business, I'm so tired, and I'm not coming at anybody or the directors, but I'm so tired of watching these church TV shows where it's always this example of the black pastor or whatever, and he's cheating. You know, that is
Hmm.
not the only thing that's happened. But see, it's on television, it's getting ratings. Like you have the like directors and they have the power to put anything on that television. All these black producers, and that's what we have. So of course you see that show. You say, girl, see that's why you got to be careful. Because
Yeah.
you know how black community, we see someone on television, we think it's, that's real. That's it. And it's like, no, like all black pastors are not like that. The whole church is not like that. Now you do have those that have messed up in the church publicly. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? And that's something that has to be dealt with. Dealt with that. But that's not all to us. So I actually want to. I've actually started writing something that speaks to that. I have a movie that I wrote that kind of gives it's there's some drama in it, but it speaks to the reality of being a minister and things like that. But I think also it's the image that's been put up of the church, that this is all we are, and that's been accepted. You know what I mean?
Right.
I've had some I've had some friends um that wanted to date and things like that, and I was like, "Nah, I'm a minister about certain. I can't even go there with you." She said, "It's okay. I know you still a man. Like I get it. It's okay. Well, thank you for your forgiveness, but if I do that, then I just fulfilled the stereotype that's being put out there. So,
Right. Right. Exactly. Yeah.
it goes back to the church putting up examples, but also it goes the church knowing its worth in this world, the church knowing its worth in the community. You know what I mean? Because like I say I'm a pastor, and I mess up. That's it. You getting canceled. I'm sorry. When did you become God? Where's the forgiveness at? Isn't that what we're supposed to be working on? Forgiveness. So the world won't give you forgiveness, but they won't show their stuff. And we have to be
Hmm.
careful about following that trend. Oh, that's everybody. If that person comes to ask for forgiveness, things like that. I asked, where's the forgiveness at in the church? Where's the forgiveness at? Where's the teaching? I think as a church, we need to provide that forgiveness and get away from the flesh stuff of how we deal with people.
Right. Right.
You know what I mean? Like if you serving God in that church, then your flesh can't lead anything. You've been through some stuff. So now because you've been through some stuff, understand that for the next person. They're gonna need that help. But you come in, oh yeah, there goes Slick Willie. Oh now you want to find God, huh?
Yeah.
Oh
Right.
now you want God, huh? So and you don't think that you don't think those people who there's a lot of people I know that are not saved, and they say to me, I want to come to church, but every time I go in there, I get them eyes on me. I get I get that feeling on me, and it's like that's us. We doing that. The
Right.
church is
Right.
doing
The
that,
judgment. Yeah.
right?
Right.
Can't nobody judge nobody in that church. Can
Sure can.
nobody judge nobody?
Sure can.
Like listen, don't get my stuff exposed out there. Something like that. I'm like, I always thank God, and I always talk to people. I say, listen, I can't judge you because I've done the dumbest stuff on earth. There's no way I can ever judge you. But what I can do is offer you this forgiveness. What I can do is show you an example of what it's like to love somebody. And I think the church needs to be more concerned with loving people instead of setting up barriers and just walls. Because people see them where they feel that people feel those walls. They feel that's why black men, they don't want to come to church because of what they see. Yeah, yeah. You know, but when a black man decides to make a decision to do something and he does it. He say, all right, I'm gonna go to church with you. I'm gonna do this stuff. But the black man has to fight being taken advantage of every day, right? Just like black women too, especially. So we got to do that. And now
What do
you're
you mean
asking us,
by being taken advantage of?
like, going into the work, like, there's when we as a black man, like even me, right, where I'm at, stuff like that. I go out into the world, and when I'm in the world, there's a perception of me. You know, there's a perception of what a black man is, and you know nothing about me. So now, not only do I have to work, but now I have to work and ignore what you think of me because you're making me feel like this is what I'm supposed to do. Many people I've had to come in. Hey, Will, I can get some weed. What?
Because you should know.
Right?
You're black.
Because I'm
You're a
black.
man. You should know where to get the weed.
Right? You
What
know what
kind
I
of black
mean?
man are you?
Right. Now whether I know where to get it or not is not the issue. All right. That ain't the question. All right. But it's us black men and black women battling these perceptions. And well, people don't realize that's where evil people play. That's where the devil plays, in perceptions, making you think less of yourself, making you.
Mm.
So by the time you get to a place where people say, hey, why don't you come to church with me, why don't you do this stuff, like, you're like, yeah, man, I don't know, you might try to get me for my money. They out there in the world trying to take my peace, and you might be trying to take my money too. So I gotta. So you have all these things that are going on where in the mind. And so, if you go into a church, when you come to my church, when you get in there, and I thank God for that, it's love. My pastor makes sure that when a person comes in, they feel loved.
Amen.
And I think that feeling of coming into a church and feeling love, because God is love. So if I go into a church and I don't feel love, that's a problem. That's a
It's
problem.
a huge problem. Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, that's a problem. So I think that love from the church will heal nations. But we just got to get together on the same page and say, hey, listen, we need to start loving people. Our black men need to start being loved. Our young black men need to see what a black. You know what is important for me to see a black man when I was a kid, to see a black man doing things. I I'll tell you this right here, and I don't want to take up too much of your time. I was in Nyack College, and I was a senior, and I was in the senior house. Right, that's where all the famous seniors was in. So I was like the only black guy in there. And so on the screen, now we had a couple of black leaders at that time. We had Jesse Jackson. Uh, oh, what's the guy's name that marched as well? It's Jesse with the hair. Uh, the one that looks like James Brown.
Oh, Al Sharpton.
Al Sharpton. So we got Al
Okay.
Sharpton, Jesse Jackson. Obama wasn't there yet, and I think Bill Clinton was in office or something like that. And I'm sitting there. So as black men, we noticed the black leaders. I'm like, all right, cool. We got somebody. You know what I mean? And then on the television, right, they're all in their living room watching television, and out comes the scandal, right, with Jesse Jackson
Oh,
with the baby, right. So I'm sitting in that, and as a black man, I'm sitting there like, come on, Jesse, like, come on, bro. Ain't a lot of us out there, right? And at the same time, I'm looking like, God. At the same time, I'm hearing that in myself. This Caucasian fellow says, damn, Will, what's going on with y'all?
wow.
Now,
The nerve. We could talk about Bill Clinton now.
Right, right,
The
exactly, right,
nerve.
exactly, right. So we ain't gonna talk about the plethora of presidents, and of course it took everything in me just to stay saved. You know what I mean? But then the other part of it was like I felt that like, dang, is he right? You know what I mean? And it spoke to the worth of me. Like, man, because I'm a leader on campus. But in the world, because Nike was like a bubble. In the world, I'm looking at what are these images? Where are the black leaders at? And we know exactly who they are. We can count them on a hand. And every time they've been destroyed in front of us, it's like, man, who am I going to look to now?
Mm.
Whether they want to be black leaders or not. Then we had Wesley Snipes and we had Denzel Washington, and then we had but there were also black political leaders, black people that were stepping up, things like that. But it was just like I felt that in my worth, you know, because we say if any of us can make it, at least Jesse can, and it was like, man, they got him too, and it was just this
Mm.
shared thing of like, golly. And so I always made a point in me to work on me so that whenever God puts me in that position. Now, have I made dumb mistakes and gotten to the wrong relationships and done the dumbest things? Absolutely. Absolutely. But because of that, I know what it is to forgive other people or to have compassion for other people. And so my job now is to be the leader that can be an example, but also can forgive and be forgiven. And I think that's what black men need to see. Say,
Amen.
hey, I messed
Amen.
up.
I, I think I think you just provided one of the main solutions just in what you said right there. I think that because there are not too many models, and the models or the leaders are usually assassinated or taken down in some way, um, either physically killed or the character is killed or whatever. I think it's important for black men to become their own heroes and to
Mm,
become their own leaders and see themselves as leaders so they can lead. Um, you can't keep chasing this ideal that's just not there for you. And I think that, in spite of that, we're still living in a system of racism, that we do have things, resources and things that, our parents and grandparents didn't have. And, the awareness of the help that we can get, whether it's mental health help, spiritual help, physical health, just the information we have now with the internet and technology, we can use that to empower ourselves. But I think black men need to see themselves as the heroes and act
mm,
accordingly, and not looking to model after the men of the dominant society, but
mm.
to be themselves and be unapologetically black and be strong in yourself. So I think that is the key. But
You
you can
said something
convince
there.
if you
You
can
saying
if
something
you
there.
can convince some black men through your art, through your films, to be the hero and to start leading and start building, then our community will look a whole lot better, and we can heal as a people. Black men could heal, black women could heal, our children could heal, and we can just be in a better place. And we should be in a better place in 2021, but it's not looking good. But people like you and me, we're talking solutions. So
Hmm.
as we start talking more solutions, then I think we'll get there. I'm trying to be optimistic.
Somebody got to be. Somebody could be
Yeah.
optimistic. One of us got to be.
Yeah.
But that's you hit it right on the head. And it's a constant, and it's a thing that people who are going to become leaders, for especially for our black community, have to understand that you cannot get up there and try to be perfect. It's not going to work because real people smell you out We know
Oh
when
yeah.
you being fake. Like it's like, come on, man. And because it becomes about, okay, all right, let's keep me and my little crew and keep us tight so that we succeed. And then, because that's the formula I see now, where that work and job is like, okay, I got my little crew, we good. There in the area in Brooklyn, there's at least 50 filmmakers, 50 black filmmakers, and maybe like a 1 to 2 mile radius. What would
Mm,
happen if we all just got together and made our
exactly.
own black production studio, making our own movies, supporting us? But no, but they're so worried about getting the props for the movie. Well, oh, I did this. Like I've been trying to do that for a while, and it's like, but yet you see our white counterparts, they do it all the time.
Hmm.
They get four, what was it, 4 horror stories from these director, and they get on Netflix and they get on this stuff, and it's like, and we sit there like, oh, can you please give me a handout? You
Right.
know,
Instead of pooling your resources together. Yeah, and that's another key. Just Black men supporting each other and
yeah,
becoming your own support system, because society is not going to do it for you.
no,
I don't think Black women are in the state to do it. You were in Clubhouse, and you know where some of us are. So
right,
so
right,
we're in a state of rage because of a number of things.
right,
Um, you
right.
know,
Understandable, understandable,
understandably so,
understandably so.
but I think Black men have to support each other, and it goes back to what
Mm,
we initially started talking about, the whole self-love thing and valuing yourself. And I've said it before in other videos that I've made. It's like, I think Black people, we have, us individually, some of us may have like high self-esteem, but we have collectively very poor group esteem. So I think that's the problem. Um, how we see each other, as a people is not good. So how are we going to support each other? So, I don't pull any punches when it comes to this stuff. I call it as I see it. So, but, yeah, those solutions, those things that we talked about, I think it's a good start. Hopefully people that are listening to this, they could begin to think, especially in our
mm.
community, about solutions instead of always talking about the problems. But finally, I want to discuss, going back to the whole wellness thing. How do you think spirituality, and we touched on this a bit, how do you think it ties into wellness?
It's deeper than people think. You know, nowadays you have people, like I want to believe whatever I want to believe, and so you have that, right? That's the range, but there's something that goes on that people don't even realize. The word of God says, "Do not destroy the spirit of a man, or do not break
Mm,
the spirit of a man down." And we never understand how much we destroy a person's spirit
wow.
by what we say, how we treat them, how it affects them, the things we say. Hey, I got this idea. What do you think about it? And I mean, why you want to do that? Why? And we don't, and we do that because it's been done to us. And when you are spiritually hurt and you're afraid, then you begin to neglect yourself or neglect that part of yourself because you don't want anybody else to hurt you. So there's a lot of broken spirits. There's a lot of broken spirits that God wants to touch and heal, but a lot of people are not being able to be placed in the right space for that to happen. The spirit of a person is very important. And but we don't recognize it. I wish we would, with our words, the things we speak to each other and how we speak to each other, and not just saying, oh no, that's just how we talk to each other. When I hear people say that, that just says to me, you don't want to change the way you talk because that's what you want to do, and
Right.
you're not considering the other person. I've seen, and I'll never forget this. I'll bring. I I bring it with me. This is why I used to work at an all girl school. So I dealt with that, and I love my black sisters. I love my little sisters, my black and my Latino sisters. Because I have seen the dreams of a woman die right in front of my face.
Mm,
I've seen it die right in my, and I'll never get that image out of my head. We were in a psychology course at school, and this girl, she was intelligent, smart, like sharp, all of that. She's married, had children, and we were having one of the last classes, and we would get together and talk. And I never forget the day she was in her little business suit, whatever. She came and sat down, and she just started crying. I'm like, and we're all psychology students there, and we were like, "Yo, what's going on? Talk to us." And she was like, "My husband wants me to stop coming to school, so that
wow.
he says I need to be more with the kids. He's working and stuff like that, but he has to feel." And you could see it break. You could see it break her. And I just looked at. I was like, "Oh my god." So one of the other guys in the class says, "Man, I just feel sorry for you." And I looked at him like I just wanted to throw my phone at his head like, she already down. She don't need you to feel sorry for her. She already feels sorry for herself. And I immediately said, because I know she didn't need that. Her spirit didn't need that.
Right.
I said, "Hey guys, let's pray." And everybody's like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah, that's a good idea. Let's pray." And we all prayed, prayed for her, prayed for her future, things like that. But seeing that happen, a lot of that happens in real life and every day. A lot of that happens, and we need to learn how to stop breaking each other's spirit and start building each other up. Stop calling it playing and call it what it is putting doubt in somebody, putting fear in somebody, not helping them build. Um the that when we begin to build a person, then that neglect has to leave. That fear has to go. I feel better about going after my dreams. I feel better about contacting this person to do interviews, to put on and use my platform, and you know what I mean.
Mm,
All those things come into being when we build each other's spirits, and we take into account and not break down. But the world system um does that. They break you down. Like they'll use you and then break you down when they don't get what they want. And it happens all the time, to especially to our black artists, our black celebrities, things like that. When you stop moving a certain way that industry is used to, that all of a sudden you become an enemy of the state. And I
right.
think it's something, as a black family, as a black community, as the church, that we don't realize that that person is there's a spirit, there's a soul in there, and we have to stop breaking each other down.
That's an excellent point, for us to all think about just the daily breaking that we're all subjected to just out in the world, and the things that we do to each other. We just have to be mindful of that, just how we interact with one another, especially within our community, just being more loving and thoughtful, and minding what we say. What
Mm,
we say, we tear each other down. So yeah, so that definitely factors into our overall wellness, because if you have a broken spirit, you're not going to be well. You can be a fragmented, unhealthy person on the inside, and those things begin to manifest on the outside. All of a sudden you having a stroke, all of these things. So definitely things to consider. There was one other thing. Gonna wrap it up soon, but there was one other
no,
thing I
I'm
wanted to talk
here.
about. Um, and I'm just, we've all seen, different celebrities, black male celebrities, passing away in their 40s, 50s. We had was Bismarcky, and um, AJ Johnson, and Shock G, and all of these guys in their mid to late 40s. Craig Mack. I remember meeting Craig Mack in the bank
Yeah.
one day. Very distinctive voice. I knew it was him right away. I was on a line waiting to see the teller, but yeah. So all of these relatively young Black men just passing away. We definitely have to break the cycle. Um, I just want to get I guess your take on it, or maybe what you're hearing from other Black men. Uh, how do you all process that? Like, and I know there's a crisis with Black women. We're we're not doing any better either. But
Yeah.
but yeah, it's just the life and the quality of life for Black men is just so poor. The life expectancy way shorter than it should be. It's so. Is that something that Black men are thinking about? Um, do Black men discuss these things? I don't know. I'm not in these circles. It just really is something that really bothers me. And I know I
Mhm.
was talking about celebrities, but it's happening to people I know,
Right.
many men that I know, and family members and friends and people in my community. So, um, are Black men talking about this?
No, we feel
Mm.
it though. Like it checks us. Like when somebody that might be a celebrity or somebody we know say, "Yo, what happened to what you call?" Oh, nah, he died of colon cancer, stuff like that. And it's like, what? As a Black man, you hear that, you go, but it takes. Why does it have to take somebody close to you dying, or somebody that you love in the celebrity world dying to be like, maybe I should go see the doctor.
Right.
One of the people that I interviewed, he went to he's a pastor, politician. He went to the barber shop and he finally was like, "Hey, listen." Told his barber, he said, "Hey, man, I'll let you know I'm going to be going in for treatment for colon cancer and things like that." And you know what his barber said to him? He said, "Man, I just went through mine's last week. You
Wow.
see him over there? He just went. He had his last year, and you see him. He's getting ready to go through his stuff, and you see
Wow.
it was like five brothers in the barber shop that he all knew, and none of them discussed it. Well, especially him. He didn't even know. But look how long it took for him to actually tell his barber. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so we're not talking. And the thing is this: when you get a bunch of Black men in a room, we talk. We get down to the basics. We ideas, all that stuff. When we get there, but it's when we get there. It's like those fathers that like they're deadbeat fathers, but when they're actually in the presence of their child, they're the best dad in the world.
Hmm.
It's getting us to there. We got to get to the water hole. We got to get there. And once you get those, then the Black men start talking. But we got to get them there because we're not talking. I can't tell you. I can be honest about it because I've become to terms with it. Things like that. There's not really. There's not really. Maybe a couple of Black men that I can actually talk to.
Mm.
There's only a couple. Like
Like on a
there
deep
should be
level.
more. Like on a deep level, or even people I'll just talk to in regular, or even having somebody to talk to. Like
Wow.
I did. I read next. So now I'm looking now for people who I can have a conversation with. Hey, and like for the when the pandemic hit, for the first 3 months, I told my family, I said, listen, stay in Florida where you're at. Don't come to New York. Just stay. They wanted to come back and get things done. No, just stay. I'll take care of the house, stuff like that. Blah blah blah. Just stay there. Don't, because I didn't, because it was crazy in New York. I was alone for 3 months in this house. I was alone. I was doing all right, and then that third month, I was like, I was getting a little, but it was like I didn't have anybody to talk to. And when
Mm,
something personal happens, I know I can call my grandma. I know I can call my mom, things like that. I have a stepfather I can now talk to. He don't talk much though. But when he says something, it's prolific. He don't talk
right, right,
much, but you
right.
but you can talk to him,
Yeah.
But aside from him, maybe one or two uncles, maybe my boys. They married, they got their own thing going on, they got stuff like that. It's like, so it's like I find myself, who do I talk to? So now I'm talking to God, right? And
Hmm.
he sustains me. He takes care of me. Like he keeps me sane. He keeps me focused. Things like that, and that's good. But there's also iron sharpens iron, and that's what I found doing this documentary, is that I found some irons to sharpen.
Mm,
You know what I mean? And it's only because I interviewed them. Now they're
right.
helping me lose weight. They're helping me. We talk about mental stuff. And then the things we talk about, it's like, what? Oh, well, you too? Yeah, I felt the same way. You know, like it's so much to it. Like there's my next documentary after this is going to be about Black women, and I'm going to get that with I'm a partner with a Black female director.
That would be awesome.
Right, because
I
I'm
can't
definitely
wait.
not doing it. I'm not doing
I
that
can't wait.
by myself,
Yeah.
because they're gonna say, "Oh, he's a Black man. You think So just that they know, at least
Well,
this thing
the
is going
black
to
men have
create.
done it in the past without consulting us, so I'm glad you're
Right, and it's
consulting
like
us.
I'm like, I don't, how it is now, boy. They'll be like, "Oh,
Yeah.
what? He don't know us." And to a certain extent, they're right. They're right. So the next thing I want to do is have my Black sisters and us create something together, for Black women, because the stories that my grandmother has told me, I'm like, you
Yeah.
went through what? My grandmother had 11 children, so I could the story's there, but yeah, we need to talk. We don't talk.
Yeah. I
We're
think the
hiding.
crisis is not just for the crisis is also in for married men as well, not just for
Mm,
single men. And I've heard some perspective from married men as well, not having another man, especially as men, just in general. But it may be a bit worse for Black men as they hit middle age, not having another male to confide in.
mm,
So yeah, I think that's just not a. I don't think that's really a racial issue. I think it's
mm,
a problem of this generation, just with the
mm.
isolationism and the technology and things like that. But I think for men, it's women, we can easily talk to each other. Sit down
Oh,
and just look at each other and
y'all
start
got book
yapping.
groups and everything.
Yeah, yeah, we don't play
Y'all
when it
got
comes to
things for
communication.
that. Y'all got retreats and
I'm an introvert and I can run my mouth. So, but yeah, women, we don't have the same issue. But like you said, once men get together, then bam, it happens when you do get together. But that boils down to what I was talking about earlier, just being able to be free emotionally, and that vulnerability that
mm,
comes that men don't have the liberty of having in society, because you got to man up and you got to be a tough guy or whatever. So there's these roles and expectations there, but it's literally killing men.
yeah.
So yeah. But I think I'm going to wrap it up now.
Okay.
But this has been a great conversation, and I would like to follow up with you when your movie Othello Rising is released, and
Absolutely.
do my best to promote it. Everybody check out Will's stuff. It's so uh, uh, one of your movies you said was on Amazon Prime.
Yes. Amazon Prime.
Okay.
Fixing Grandma. So Amazon
Fixing
Prime
Grandma.
and
Okay.
Tubi.
Oh,
Yeah.
and Tubi. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So check it out on Tubi or Amazon Prime. Will's work. And Will, thank you so much. This has been for me a very enlightening conversation, and it was great to hear your perspective. And from a Black man, this is actually a topic that's close to my heart, just our community in general, just getting healthier. And, I'm very grateful for what you're doing through your art and what you continue to do for the community. And you're such a blessing, and thank you. And thank
Thank
you all
you.
for watching, and stay tuned for more of these conversations. Take care. God bless. And I will see you in the next video.